YouTube? It's Dominick Izzo back at the Izzo Warrior Academy out here in Chicago, and we're continuing with law enforcement defensive tactics. With me I have Alex Embry. Thank you so much for joining me. From Alpha BJJ. You got congratulations on the new school.
Thank you very much. Just opened this week.
You guys have been asking me about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Wing Chun forever, and I don't do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've never ever had a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. I have been wrestling since '88, but it's a completely different animal. Alex, could you tell me about your background, please?
I've been in martial arts for about 25 years, but the last decade I've really focused on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, almost to the exclusion of everything else. So that's my martial arts background. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has really turned into what my passion is when it comes to hand-to-hand, and it's served me very well. Components of it have gone very well with my profession, and I'm also in law enforcement. I work as a sergeant at the sheriff's department. I serve there in the training division, running those programs, the firearms training program, the control tactics program, and I serve on our SWAT team.
So I got another professional with me who's in law enforcement. When we did a class, we did an event not too long ago, one thing you said about your take on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was it's not for the tournament aspect of it because your competing days are over, but the way that you look at it now, you look at it as...
For me, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at this point in my career is all about positional dominance. It's not about the sport play, it's not about the competition side going into MMA, it's about being able to dominate positions. So when I'm confronted with that aggression, it's not crazy triangles, crazy arm bars, although that's a fun part and I still love to play it, and it's really a great aspect of Jiu-Jitsu. For me, on a practical application side, it's about getting the fight to the ground, getting on top, and maintaining control of that individual. That lets me move into further control, lets me wait for partners, lets me wait for backup. So that's really where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu comes into play for what I do for a living.
And that's the same thing with our Wing Chun. There's Chisao, and then again, there's the application of it for what I do for a living too. So I wanted to get a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, someone in law enforcement, to talk about what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to speed through this as quick as possible. The topic that we want to talk about today is the chokehold. All right, and the whole tragedy that happened with Eric Garner, we all know it by now. Tragedy, nonetheless. We just reviewed the video again too, and I wanted a professional in here to give us his take. Because my view, the way I look at it is, I personally feel that the chokehold was not secure. It was a matter of 5 seconds. It was released immediately by the officer. You get some people who are in positions yelling on camera, saying that the officer had the reason that the death was occurred because the chokehold was secured the entire time. That is not true. That's completely inaccurate. Mr. Garner says, I can't breathe, what I heard audibly 9 times. But I wanted somebody to get a professional take on what it was, and then he's going to put me in the chokehold, and I'm going to go to sleep. I've never done it before, never experienced it before, so we're going to look at how long it takes me to go out, the effects it has on me, and how many times I can say I can't breathe before I go out. But based on what you saw in the video, what's your professional opinion?
You know, I'm never going to second guess another officer.
Yep, neither will I.
And not at all. I think those guys did a phenomenal job in the position they were put in against a much larger opponent. I agree. I don't think the choke was sunk for the length of time that the media portrayed it to be sunk as. But again, we're looking at the video from the outside, of course. The arm was around the neck for a great deal of time, but there's a big difference between having that kind of rough position of the arm being around the neck and actually securing some type of choke. So even though we see the arms around the neck, from the outside, watching the video...
His elbow had a lot of space between where the...
Lots of space, not a lot of tight structure. It doesn't mean it was done poorly, it means it was done under dynamic situations.
What do people need to know about a chokehold? Because there's airway and blood flow.
Right. So, when we look at the chokes...
And this is our first take, just to let you know. Alex walked in here 15 minutes ago. We're doing this the first take. I don't know what's going to happen to me physiologically, so I made sure I evacuated my system a little bit.
So if we're talking about air chokes, we're talking about attacking the trachea or the front of the throat. Most, if not all, of the law enforcement application that I'm aware of is attacking the carotid arteries, which are on the not exact sides of the neck, so you're at the lateral portion, but just between the side of the neck and the Adam's apple. So we're really attacking the carotid arteries. And this is the blood choke. And what we're doing is we're shutting those carotid arteries down. Those are the big blood suppliers to the brain. And once we take that oxygen away, then consciousness induces.
And to educate you guys too, I know we talked about this a little bit, nowhere in the United States Constitution or in our case the ILCS, Illinois Compiled Statutes, is a chokehold, which is a generic term, if you call it, is prohibited. Department policy is a different aspect, so when somebody says that somebody illegally applied something, department policy violations does not make it illegal. Use of force scale, when we talk about deadly force, and I brought this up on the radio show, I brought this up in tactic training, you want that option. If you're in law enforcement and you have any influence over your policymakers, I strongly suggest to go back to whoever you talk to. You want to be able to use that level of use of force to terminate the threat, because if it comes down to a chokehold or a firearm, I'd rather incapacitate somebody with a chokehold than utilize my firearm, because that's certain loss of life. What can I expect?
So, once we start the movement, you're going to experience the tightening around the throat. You're going to start to get some auditory exclusion. The ears aren't going to work quite as well because, again, we're starting to occlude that blood flow. Vision's going to narrow in. You're going to start getting dimmer and dimmer, and then the eyes roll back and you'll experience unconsciousness.
Approximately how long does it take to pass somebody pass out?
Depending on the physiology, it can happen within a couple of seconds to 5 to 6 seconds.
Okay, do you think, based on your professional opinion, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where this choke is very much exclusively applied, do you think that Eric Garner's fatality was a result of that chokehold?
In no way. Just watch the video. They actually let go of the choke while he's on the ground. Just my personal opinion, the choke had nothing to do with the actual death.
Could he have said, you know, I can't breathe as many times?
Not if he was being properly choked.
And I know that I didn't watch the video yet, but I believe one of the Gracies did a little bit of analysis on it too. I don't know if you watched that.
Really good analysis.
Okay, so that's something to check out on YouTube here too. We're going to get right into it. And so I'm going to let you lead. You tell me how you want me to be, position-wise.
I'm just going to come behind you. I'm going to apply what's called the rear naked choke.
YouTube. Enjoy this.
Just for the record, the rear naked choke gets applied incorrectly a lot of times because...
If you want to go over the technique too before you do it, do we want me seated, standing? How do you want me?
Let's go seated, just because this is going to alleviate any chance of us bouncing your head off the table.
I know you guys would like that.
So the choke gets applied improperly a lot of times because people focus too much on...
I'm going to try everything not to tap. I swear I'm going to try not to tap.
What we want to do is drive past, and you'll notice my upper arm on one carotid, my forearm on the other carotid. And you'll notice my elbow is directly in line with his chin.
Which was not the case in the video. His elbow was here.
We see a lot of space here. I can crush on the trachea a lot here, but now I have to work through muscles and neck motion and everything else.
The one question I have too is when the corner came back, and number one, too, they ruled it a homicide. Well, a death in another human's hands is a homicide. But if you saw that, the coroner said that the trachea was crushed. In my opinion, if you take like a little Pepsi can and you crush it a little bit, it's a crush. You crush it a lot, it's a little bit. Could there have been any damage slightly that would crush but not impede his airway?
Of course.
So basically the public was misled by thinking it was crushed.
Correct.
Okay. That was a question I had too on that.
Right. So and again, when we talk about proper application, I'm not even worried about this. Properly, I'm on each side of the carotid artery, so I'm never actually attacking that soft tissue. The next thing that tends to happen is people get too involved with once I get here, especially with men, what do we want to do? I got my arms around something, what do I think I can do? Just squeeze it really hard and make it happen. And if I'm bigger, stronger, more fit, more athletic than Dom, which I'm not, I might be able to get away with that. But it's very difficult to do that to someone your same size, especially bigger. And what we focus on when we're doing this is making sure that I'm looking at my elbows and I'm trying to take that space away. If you can see here, if I'm just squeezing straight in, I still have a lot of space in here. If I bring my elbows together, you can see how that space kind of goes away. So this is what we're talking about, bringing this in and making that space go away. So as the space goes away, I take the carotid passages away as well.
It's good to know it's the science behind it. That's the actual technique. And from what I saw, I don't think you had a chance to apply that on the street.
It's a dynamic situation. He's fighting, bad guy's bigger. There's never a simple answer.
Not too true. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see how many times I can say I can't breathe before I go to sleep.
All right. Dom, are you ready?
Yep. I can't.
Hey, Dom?
Yes, sir.
There you go. How you feel?
Wow. All right, that was interesting.
Stay down for a second. Done this a few times.
That felt surreal. It felt like drifting off to sleep really damn fast. Whew.
You okay if I just leave you there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'm gonna put your feet down, just leave it there.
All right. I couldn't even get, I tried to say I can't breathe.
You got about halfway there, I think.
I couldn't even get that out. Yeah, I don't feel at any time that I was in I wasn't scared. I didn't feel that like I was gonna be, oh shit, like it's gonna, it felt comforting. It felt like, oh, peace is coming over me. I'm gonna tell you flat out, I don't think I could have fought through that. You can't. So, I don't see how the hell he could have, if that choke was secured and applied the way it was, there's no way in hell you could fight through that. I mean, once he secured that choke, and he said, you're ready, and I don't know how long that even was, I could not, even if I wanted to tap, I couldn't. So that shows you the effectiveness of that blood flow getting choked out. So, I mean, in my opinion, no. There's no way in hell he could have gone through that. So, I don't know, YouTube, you guys, is it safe to do it again or no?
No,
Okay.
not particularly.
Well, just to let you know, see, I would have done it again just for you guys, but Matt, you want to get choked down?
Sure, why not?
Well, let's do Matt.
Come on in, man.
Anybody else want to get choked down?
I was gonna say, bigger guy like me, more muscle mass.
What's that?
Bigger guy like me, more muscle mass right now.
So if Garner had more muscle mass too than we do, does that cause it? Is that, or no?
As long as you're attacking the proper position, it doesn't matter. And this to me is one of the strengths of jiu-jitsu. I'm not attacking where he's strong. I'm attacking a very weak area of his anatomy, and as long as my technique is precise, that's gonna occur whatever. Now, we're joking if we say size doesn't matter.
Right.
Size didn't matter in 1993 when the Gracies hit because no one knew what the guard was. No one knew what these positions are. There are weight classes in MMA for a reason. There are weight classes in competitive jiu-jitsu for a reason. So size matters, but I greatly increase my chances, especially against an untrained individual, if I'm using precision to attack these structures.
I felt that at no time I did not feel safe. I'll tell you that. I didn't feel like I panicked. I thought, you know, oh gosh, I'm going to be panicking a little bit. Not once. So that was interesting. Have at it.
You want? You good?
Go for it.
If you tap, I will let you go. I
Okay.
promise. Okay?
Yep.
Good to go?
Yep.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Hi there. How you
How's
doing?
that feel?
Yeah, it's great.
There you go.
Is it Matt?
It's Matt.
Matt, how you doing? Stay there for a second, okay, buddy?
So now you see from a professional, from my profession and a black belt in jiu-jitsu, the proper application of if that chokehold was secured properly, would have been a completely different story. So I think it's time that everybody stop armchair quarterbacking what another cop did and what he didn't do. Is there anything else to add?
No, and again, not to second guess anything. Those guys are doing this. We're doing this in a very controlled setting.
Right.
We're showing the precision of the technique. We're showing the power of the technique. Never let it be said that I second guessed another cop. That is a dynamic situation against a vastly larger opponent.
He's got to live with it the rest of his life.
I'm not sure anyone's going to get a precision hold during the middle of that, and that's why we're
violence.
showing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the fact that you can see how quickly you go to sleep. If the choke was the cause of death, this guy would have been asleep when the cameras got off. Instead, you can actually see the choke, the hold being released. You can see him talking afterwards. Whatever was the cause of death, this was not the.
I implore you guys to go back and look at that video and kind of remake up your mind and see what happened there. Check out Alpha BJJ on YouTube. Check it out on Facebook. Like and subscribe to the channel. And thanks.
Thank you, my man.
We'll see you in the next video, guys.